Hello folks and welcome to MRIT Automation. In this video, we are going to talk about Agile Scrum. First, let's talk what exactly Agile methodology and how does it work. First, let's see about what is Agile methodology. Agile methodology is a project development approach where we can develop, test and deliver a working software to the customer within a short time frame, that is 2 weeks. Okay, how does it work? It works based on interactive and incremental development approach. What does it mean? Here, iterative means same process will be repeated multiple times. As you can see here, requirement gathering, design, coding, testing, delivery, software product. Okay, from starting to end of project, this same process will be repeated. Okay, once it is done, again requirements gathering, design, coding, testing, and delivery software. Okay. Next, incremental. Incremental means at the beginning, we implemented some features, functionality 1 and functionality 2, and we deliver software. And we will keep on adding new features for existing functionality. Okay, as you can see here, once it is done, again we added two new functionalities, right? Functionality 3 and functionality 4. Okay, we delivered these four functionalities. Again, we added functionality 5 and functionality 6. So we will keep on adding new features for existing functionality. That is nothing but incremental approach. Here, Agile teams should follow a set of principles while developing project. What are those principles? Let's take a look. First one is requirement changes are allowed. What does it mean? We should allow requirement changes at any time during development process. That means once we get the requirement from customer, just assume design team is completed designing part and dev team is working on development. At that time, if customer wants to change the requirement, it should be acceptable. We should work on that change. Next one is working software should be delivered for every 2 weeks. We should deliver working software for every 2 weeks. For example, we have to develop 50 functionalities for customer. Just assume its estimation is 2 years to complete it. In that case, we should not make customer to wait until 50 functionalities are completed. That is 2 years. Instead, we have to deliver working software for every 2 weeks with 2 or 3 functionalities. Okay. Next one is good communication between team. We should maintain good collaboration between team. That means most of the communication should happen through video calls and chats for quick response instead of phones and mails. Actually, mail communication delays the process. Next one is customer satisfaction. We should satisfy the customer with continuous delivery. Okay. We are delivering software for every 2 weeks, right? So obviously customer will be happy, right? Okay, we should follow these principles while working in Agile methodology. Agile methodology supports different frameworks like Scrum, Kanban, and XP to develop software rapidly. Among all these, Scrum is most popular Agile framework. So let's take a look at Scrum. Scrum is a Agile framework where we can develop the project by following the Agile principles. The difference between Agile methodology and Scrum is Agile methodology will define the principles and Scrum will be followed those principles to develop the project. That is the difference. Okay, simply you can say Scrum is a Agile framework. Here we need to understand couple of Scrum terms, epic and user story. Epic is a collection of user stories. Epic nothing but it is a customer requirement and it is a bigger functionality. User story nothing but it is a feature or module and it is derived from the epic to validate that epic. So we can break down the epic into smaller functionalities called user story. Okay, if you take example, this is card management system. Okay, if you take any finance domain, it is the card management system. It is called as epic and we can create different user stories for this epic like create card for account, deactivate card, search card by card number, and search card by card status, and delete card. So these are the different user stories. Okay, in Agile Scrum, we will develop project in the form of sprints. Okay, sprint is a time-boxed period to implement the committed user stories. In each sprint, we will implement 4 or 5 user stories based on their priority. Time box for sprint is 2 weeks. Some organizations follow 1 week or 1 month as well. It depends upon organization, but best practice is 2 weeks. The goal of sprint is to deliver potentially shippable product. What does it mean? At the end of the sprint, we have to deliver the working software to the customer. It should be designed, implemented, and tested. In Scrum, we have different artifacts. Here is the list of Scrum artifacts: product backlog, sprint backlog, burn down chart, and definition of done. Coming to the backlog, it contains a complete list of user stories and bugs which are related to application on priority. It is created and maintained by product owner. Okay. Once product owner is gets the requirement from the customer, he will write the user stories in product backlog based on that requirement. And all the user stories are arranged in order based on priority. Coming to the sprint backlog, it contains list of user stories and bugs which are committed to current sprint for implementation. We cannot implement all the user stories at once, right? So what we can do, already user stories are arranged in order, right, based on priority. So we will pick 4 or 5 user stories from product backlog and we will move to the sprint backlog. This product backlog contains a list of all user stories related to application, and sprint backlog contains sprint specific user stories. Okay. Next, burn down chart. Burn down chart is a graph. It is used to track the status, like how much work is completed and how much work is pending, like that. It is prepared by Scrum Master. In Scrum, daily status will be tracked using this burn down chart only. Next one is definition of done. It is a document and it contains a set of ground rules, okay, which are applicable for both team and software. Ground rule means, in simple terms, we can say guidelines or standards we should follow. Okay, it is created by Scrum Master only. It will be reviewed at the end of the sprint and after the completion of retrospective meeting to check whether our team and software is satisfying these ground rules or not. Okay, we can define these ground rules at the team level and software level. Software nothing but our application. For example, the ground rules for team is, okay, the team should be update task hours and status in Scrum board before daily status. Okay, before starting meeting, we have to update the status. That is one ground rule. And maximum hours for one task is 6 hours only. Okay, we cannot allocate 7 hours or 8 hours. If it is taking more time, we can split into two tasks. That is one ground rule. And some maximum number of tasks in progress state should be two. Okay, in progress state we cannot put more than two tasks. Okay, it should be two only. Coming to the software, the ground rules are code should be developed, code should be reviewed, and sprint related code should be merged with master branch, and smoke test should be done for all new builds, and bugs should be retested and closed. These are the different ground rules for our application. Simply we can say definition of done is a set of guidelines or standards we should follow, and we have to verify ground rules at the end of the sprint. Next, Scrum roles. In Scrum, we have different roles: product owner, Scrum master, and a Scrum team. Here, Scrum team means it is a combination of dev, key, and manager. You can call them as Scrum team and cross-functional team as well, because teams are belongs to different technologies. In some projects, what will happen based on that project nature, design team and DevOps team also will be part of all the Scrum meetings. Okay, that's why we are calling this team as cross-functional team. Coming to the team size, As per the Scrum practices, team size is should be minimum 5 members and maximum 9 members only. But it could be changed based on project size. Okay. Now let's see the responsibilities of these roles. Okay. First, let's take a look at responsibilities of product owner. His responsibilities is get the requirement from the customer and writing the user stories in backlog based on that requirement and specify the priority for user stories and describing user stories to the team and clarifying team doubts. That means he will give some insight about requirements and if team is having any queries, he will clarify. These are the responsibilities of product owner. Next role is Scrum Master. His responsibilities are run their daily meetings. He only conducts all the Scrum related meetings and he resolve the team implements. So implement nothing but blocker. In Scrum, any blocker is called as implement only. If any team member is facing issues with respect to task, Scrum Master provides sessions to overcome that blocker. He protects the team by avoiding overcommitments. What does it mean? Sometimes what will happen? We will get some pressure from product owner to complete more user stories. For example, team can complete maximum 4 user stories in sprint. But product owner asks, please work on 6 requirements in current sprint. In that situation, Scrum Master will talk with product owner and he convey message like it's difficult to commit 6 stories. Team can handle only 4 stories. If you add 6 stories, then it could impact on release or quality as well. In that way, he convinced the product owner. Okay, he is also responsible to deliver product on time with quality. Okay, these are the responsibilities of Scrum Master. Coming to the Scrum team, team responsibilities are to understand the PBIs and to estimate the effort for user stories and to complete the dev and testing tasks related to user stories. Okay, these are the responsibilities of Scrum team. Next, Scrum meetings. In meetings also called as ceremonies. In Scrum, we have 5 types of meetings: sprint planning, daily Scrum. This is also called as daily stand-up, sprint review, sprint retrospective, sprint backlog grooming, and this is also called as sprint backlog refinement. All these meetings are run by Scrum Master, and all team members are part of all these meetings. Okay, let's see the purpose of each meeting one by one. First one is sprint planning. It is the first meeting of every sprint. That means every sprint will be started with sprint planning only. In this meeting, product owner gives insight about user stories which are going to be implemented in current sprint. And he clarifies team queries. Then team will be estimated the effort for user story and will move them from product backlog to sprint backlog. Here I want to add one point. As we can see here, it is planning poker. In Scrum, we will estimate the effort for user story through planning poker. It contains story points in the form of Fibonacci series. You can see here, it is the Fibonacci series. Okay, we can select 3, 5, 13, 8, like based on the complexity of user story. 3 means very simple, 5 means simple, 8 means medium, 13 means complex. Each team member should select story point. Finally, we will go with story point, which is selected by most of the members. Here you can see 8, 4 members are selected, 5, 1 member is selected, 13, 1 member is selected. So we will go with 8. Based on story point, we can allocate hours. Okay, if it is 8 means 8 hours, 5 means 5 hours. Here, the person who selected low story point and who selected high story point, both should give proper reason to justify their selection. Because he selected low story point, right? Why he has selected 5 and why he has selected 13. They should justify their selection. There could be some reason, right? He might understand the user story differently. He might understand the user story differently. Okay, if there is any misunderstanding, again, product owner gives some insight about the user story. Next one is daily Scrum. During this meeting, each team member is responsible for answering three questions. Okay. What did you do yesterday and what will you do today? Do you have any improvements? Next one is sprint review. Once sprint work is completed, last day we have two meetings. Sprint review and retrospective. Time box for this one is sprint review is 30 minutes. Okay. Time box for daily scrum is 15 minutes. Time box for sprint planning is 3 hours. Okay. Based on user storage size. Okay. For this 15 minutes daily scrum. Sprint review 30 minutes. Sprint retrospective 1 hour time box. Okay. This review meeting, all team members, scrum master, product owner, and stakeholders will be involved. Okay, team will demonstrate to the stakeholders what we accomplished during current sprint. Okay, whatever the task we have done in current sprint, we have to give demo to stakeholders. During this meeting, we concentrate on two things. Okay, first one is what went well, and the second one is what could be improved. Okay, we will add points for each one. Okay, what went well means there could be some points. Okay, we will add in some place. We have some different tools to maintain this, and what could be improved. Okay, we will write some points. In next sprint, again we will review. Okay, these points are we followed or not. What are the areas we have to improve? This is sprint backlog grooming. Backlog grooming nothing but it is similar to sprint planning only, but this is happen at the middle of sprint. In this meeting, product owner describes the user stories which are going to be implemented in the next sprint. Okay, in upcoming sprint. Advantage is we can get some basic idea about user stories which are going to be implemented next sprint. Sometimes what will happen? The user story is big. In that case, we can split into smaller ones. And if there are any steps missing, we can add those steps in user story. If any new user stories are required, we can add those user stories as well. Okay. So with the help of sprint backlog grooming, we can strengthen the epic or user story. These are the most important things we need to remember in Agile Scrum. So what is Scrum? Scrum terms, sprint, what are the different Scrum artifacts, what are the different Scrum roles and Scrum meetings. Now, whatever we discuss, let us understand through in diagram. As you can see here, product owner gets the requirement from the customer. Once he gets the requirement, he will create the product backlog and he writes the list of user stories in product backlog based on that requirement. Next is sprint planning. It is the first meeting of sprint. During this meeting, we'll move priority user stories to sprint backlog. Okay, it contains the difference is it contains complete list of user stories which are related to application. But coming to the sprint backlog, it contains sprint specific user stories only. Okay, based on priority, we will choose 4 or 5 stories and we will do the commit. Sprint will be started and its time box is 2 weeks. And the team will be started implementation for user stories. Every day, daily Scrum will be happened. And Scrum Master will get the status from the team. Okay, here meeting updates. Every team member will update their status. And he tracks the status in burn down chat, right? Once the sprint work is done, the goal of sprint is to deliver the potentially shippable product, right? What does it mean? Sprint will be delivered working software. Next, we have sprint review meeting. At the end of the sprint, we have sprint review meeting. And after that, we have sprint retrospective meeting as well. We have discussed purpose of these both meetings, right? This is all about Agile Scrum. That's all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.